Hey guys, how are we doing? Welcome to today's video. Now today, I'm going to go over a subject that I get asked about quite a lot. For many people, it's a pipe dream. They come here on holiday and think, oh God, I'd love to own a bar out here in Pattaya. It'd be fantastic. It'd be amazing. I get guys that are serious and they come and ask me about, what's the ins and outs of running the bar about, the things that maybe we don't look at, things that can go wrong. So I thought, well, let's do this. Let's go through this for you. Now, you might not be interested in running a bar yourself, and I get that, totally understand. And to be fair, I respect your views. But there might be things I'm going to tell you here that just maybe you weren't aware of. And when you walk around the city, you see all the bars here, each and every one of us, myself included, are all under pressure to survive, under pressure to try and make money, to keep our rent paid, our bills paid, to keep the staff happy and paid, etc. And hopefully somewhere along the road we'll make a bit of a profit. So I want to go through this. I'm going to do step by step. So what we'll do is, like normal when I do these, I'll put some overlays over the top so you don't have to keep staring at me. But I want to go through this with you, and I'm going to talk to you about the early stages of, thinking about buying the bar and the things to consider and how you're going to do it. And then I'm going to go through the nitty gritty of what to expect when you say, right, let's do this. So let's get on with it then. So first, so buying a bar in Pattaya, is considered like an expat dream. You come out here, you sit on the bar stool and you want to own the bar stool. You think, no, I want to do this. Because when you come out here, you're full of fantasy world. You really are. You've got all the women, you've got the climate, you've got the food, you've got the bars. Everything in many ways is a fantasy. And unfortunately, sometimes those fantasies want to be turned into reality. We've done the whole discussion about you find the girls, you're the love of your life, now going to be your wife, and that goes tits up. Well, this is very similar. So before you even consider opening a bar here, you've got to ask yourself some really hard and honest questions, which I'm going to go through one by one. I'm going to break down for you now. Number one is why? Why do you want to own a bar out here? You are looking at a city that is compacted full of bars, full of go-go's, full of gents clubs, full of open beer bars, full of, normal everyday bars, girly bars, etc. So why do you want to do it? What is it about the bar that says to you, I want to be chained to this bar for the next 5 or 10 years of my life, where I'm going to try and make a living, I'm going to try and make a success of it, instead of working, doing whatever I do back home, making my money, retiring and coming out here and living a normal everyday life? Why, in your mind, what in the world possesses you to want to open a bar? And guys, when I go through it, I really would like to read your comments. Give me some thoughts. I love to listen to what you guys say. Please be respectful. If people say, yeah, I'm going to open a bar, and don't go on and say, oh, you're an idiot, blah, blah. I'm going to do that for you. You don't need to say that. No, I'm joking. But yeah, why would you want to open a bar? So if you say, well, I just fancy living out here. Okay. So you want to live out here. You want a reason to stay out here. So is the bar the answer? The next question you've got to ask yourself is, what makes your bar different from all the others? We've got open beer bars, we've got sports bars, we've got restaurant bars, we've got girly bars, we've got gents clubs, we've got go-go's, we've got fetish play. With everything you can possibly think of, we have here. In somewhere or other around the city, I will take you to somewhere that ticks whatever it is you're saying your bar is going to be different to all the others. So you've got to really give it some genuinely honest thought as to why your bar is going to be popular as opposed to, we've got very established sports bars, we've got very established go-go's, very established gents clubs, we've got some really popular normal everyday bars. So why are people going to leave that bar and come into your bar? Why? What makes your bar so different that it's going to drag people through the door for you? Where are you going to put your bar? Because unless you're in a high foot traffic area, you may well struggle if your bar hasn't got the what makes you different appeal to it. So if you are relying on foot traffic, where are you going to put your bar? Because wherever you put your bar, that in turn will affect how much you're going to pay. And we're going to talk about the payments in a minute. But that will affect your rent, expectations, the prices of stuff. There's so much to consider as to where you are. You've got Walking Street. Yeah, very, very famous. But unless you're appealing to the Indian and the Korean market, Japanese market, it ain't what it used to be. You've got LK Metro. Yeah, LK Metro is very, very popular with the expats here, but it's sewn up. And the few places that are possibly going to come available, and I think there's one at the moment I think it's available, we're talking high prices, and then you're going to gamble that you can bring someone through your door rather than go next door or across the road. You've got Soy Bacal. Yep, Soy Bacal, but it's very, very spread out. So again, you've got to have that what makes you different. You've got soy chaipoons, soy boomerang, you know, soy lenki, you've got soy 7, soy 8, you've even got soy 6. Soy 6 is just a roll of the dice, you know, unless you've got 30 beautiful girls and you are up against it down there. So there's many places where you can go and have your bar. But you've got to give it some serious thought as to how are you going to get your customer through that door? How? Now, here's the killer blow. This one to me causes more problems than any other bars I've known. Over the years I've been here, I've lost count how many of these bars have failed due to this one I'm going to talk to you about now. Are you going to do it alone? Are you going to go into partnership with somebody? Are you going to go into the business with your wife or your girlfriend? Or are you going to join a syndicate? I've seen so many bars fall apart because they're in partnerships, because they're with their girlfriend or wife. It really is an absolute potential disaster. Because so if you're on your own, all right, so on your own, you've got the pressures of dealing with everything. You know, I'm here on my own. I make the final decision. I make the final call. Yes, I've got Michael and Beer that help me with decisions, etc. But nevertheless, it's still my shout. It's on my shoulders whether I make the right call or the wrong call. Sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I get it wrong. But whatever I do, I have to take that on the jaw and say, that was down to me. That's my call. I've got friends that have been over here for years that open bars in partnerships. Never works. Never, ever works. Because, you know, if you meet someone and you get on well, that's fine. You're friends. You're getting on well as friends. However, if you're now into business, well, that friendship now is pushed to one side. And now you've got to give yourself a completely different thought process when you're making decisions with your now business partner. Business partners have got all kinds of issues. You know, they might not agree with what you're thinking. They may not see it your way. They might have a particularly difficult girlfriend or a wife that wants to get involved or cause them personal issues away from business that they then bring into the business. You know, there's nothing worse than you're in the bar, you're all set up, ready to go, and in comes your business partner, and he looks like he's lost the winning lottery. So you're like, what's that? She's giving me a headache in home, and she doesn't want to come out today. She wants to come there. You're like, mate, this is a business. This ain't a game. You know, sort her out, get rid of her, and carry on with this business. So when you are in a partnership, it's very, very difficult to maintain an even balance. It's very rare. I know, probably I can name Dean and Sean at the dive bar. They were brothers. They made a good job of it. See, I mean, this is how difficult it is. Actual business partners that I know. I mean, you know, Rocky, he's on his own. He has got a business partner, but mainly he fronts. But it's very, very rare, very hard. With your girlfriend or your wife, guys, you know, you are giving yourself a potential headache before you even open the door. Literally is a potential headache. So again, you know, you've got to consider that side of things. Is your girlfriend or your wife going to be a positive? 99.9% of the time, the answer is no. You might not like me saying it, I'm just telling you the truth. So, you know, again, you're putting yourself into pressure. And the last thing you want is the pressure of getting customers, making money, and you've got an unhappy partner or an unhappy wife or girlfriend. It's just too much stress. You don't need that. Maybe you're in a syndicate. Now, in a syndicate, that's a completely different story because all they are doing is they're putting their money in. They don't give a toss about how you're doing. All they want is their return on their investment. And that's pressure for you again. So, you know, I would highly recommend if you're going to do a bar, number one is try and find a job somewhere where you can get employment for the first year to actually see how it runs. Because watching a bar run, listening to bar owners, it's never the same as when you actually do it yourself. There's so many things that people forget. So I'd advise you to do that first. But really, I would say 9 times out of 10, do it on your own. If you don't, you're in a business partnership with someone that may be just a newfound friend that he wants to invest as well. And you think, oh yeah, we're good mates, we'll do that. Oh man, it's a car crash just waiting to happen. You might not like me for saying it, you might not believe me, but at the end of the day, guys, just don't, you know, all I'll say to you is I told you so. Marketing. This absolutely blows my brain. We're in a modern technical world now where social media is more important than probably any other aspect of your business, because unless you reach out, unless you get in touch with your audience, you are going to be sat there twiddling your damn thumbs doing absolutely nothing apart from stressing, worrying, and thinking to yourself, why the God hells did I open this bar? How am I going to get help? People just keep walking past. I've lost count the amount of bars that don't have social media, and most of social media nowadays is free. It's that I can't be bothered, or I don't know how to do it. That's bullshit. If you don't know how to do it, you can ask people like me. There are plenty of people out there that are social media savvy. They can help you. You know, people say to me, oh yeah, you're lucky, Trev. You know, your bar's always busy. Well, am I lucky? I've done a video every day for 5.5 years until this year. So is that really lucky? I mean, I think I've put a fair shift in, to be honest with you. And I've also, it's not about me, it's about my community. I'm building a community. I haven't building, I'm built a community because you guys are more important than me. I don't want to be, oh, look at me, I'm on camera, all that crap. I want you just to have a happy, safe area where you can sit down, chill out, relax, meet other like-minded people, and then go off and enjoy yourself, which is why I take you out of my bar. People say to me, you're nuts. You're taking your customers out of your own bar. Are you stupid? Yeah, I am. Because by doing that, they enjoy when I take them out, they enjoy what we do, and therefore then they come back in later and say, oh, I love that, Trev, cheers to that, mate. Oh, can I get a beer? So, you know, you've got to have marketing. Really, really, it's so important. And if you don't know how to do it, guys, you need to find out how to do it and find out. It's not that hard. Right, so now I'll try to put you off. Hopefully it's worked. If it hasn't, okay, not to worry. Let's go through the nuts and bolts now. Let's go through the nitty gritty, the things that's going to come your way, whether you know about this or not. I'm going to go through it for you. So the first thing is key money and lease trap. So in Thailand, you don't just pay the rent. A lot of bars here involve what they call key money. Key money is a lump sum. It's paid normally every year, maybe every 3 years. And it's just for you to have the right to lease the building. It's not your rent. It's just called key money. It's allowing you the privilege of opening your bar and paying the rent. Now, the problem with this is first timers often don't budget, or they forget to budget for the next key money payment. So if you're in a year's time, and let's say the key money is 100,000 baht for argument's sake, and you think, God, I've got to find another 100 grand soon. Jesus, you know, it's a big risk. And if you can't pay it when the lease renews, well, then the landlord can take the bar back and you lose everything. Literally, you have got not a damn piece of paper to stand on. You can forget your contract, everything. If you don't pay the key money that's due, hasta la vista, baby, you're out. So always check when the next key money payment is due before signing anything. When you are looking at your contract, make sure you've got the right things. So you want 3 by 3 by 3. Normally that's a 9-year agreement. So a 9-year agreement will put you in good stead. When you've got that in place, also look at what the reviews are ahead. So 3 years time, are you going to renew my rent? Are we going to increase my rent? And if you're going to increase, agree the amount before. Don't get to 3 years and say, right, okay, what's the increase? It's 50%. What? I can't pay. That's insane. Why are you doing that? No, it's just the way it is, mate. You know, there's nothing agreed. Just said I'll review it. Well, I've reviewed it. I want another 50%. So make sure you get it nailed down. 3 plus 3 plus 3, and agreed at the end of each 3 years, 3-year contract, the rent will increase by a maximum of, let's just say 15% or 10%, whatever you can agree with your landlord. But make sure it's in your contract, guys. Don't ignore that, because when you do come to renew, you are literally throwing yourself into the lion's den and saying, please be nice, please be gentle. When you're looking at these bars for sale, creative bookkeeping. You know, when somebody's selling a bar, they'll show you the books 9 times out of 10, they look fantastic. And there's a reason. So if it's making so much money, they're going to come out with a, well, yeah, I need to go back to my home country because, you know, things aren't so good back home, whatever. There'll be a reason why they need to leave. But the answer is then, well, okay, why don't you just put your manager in and you just cream off the profits and while you sort out your problem back home and then come back later on? Why are you selling it? Why? So have a look at that, guys. But when you're looking at the books, the problem is here is that in Pattaya, many bars, they are sold based on high season figures. Okay, so at the end of April, a bar that's been packed in December, January through in June may well be completely empty. Sometimes you'll find that the seller who's selling the place will pump their own bar, so they'll be buying lots more drinks. Because at the end of the day, you know, you buy a drink which maybe say 150 baht for a lady drink. The reality is that it's not going to cost you 150 baht because some of that will be a profit which go back into your own pocket. But it just increases the amount of sales that are going through the till. So when you look at it, you think, oh, okay, that looks handy. So be aware about that, guys. You know, think to yourself, well, how come this has spiked so high so recently, and why are you not putting a manager in to run it while you go back for this urgent, trip back home? Look at the POS system, point of sale system. That will show you the figures they put through their books day in, day out. So make sure you go right the way back through the historical. They may not have paper printouts, but every POS system can go back as long as you want it to go back from the day it was installed. If they say they can't, then just contact the POS system, and the POS system, they will basically have it all there for you, and they will do that for you. So again, you're not in a situation where you need to worry. So, but when you do, you know, go through that. But what I highly recommend you do is, if you are interested in the bar, then, you know, you don't need to sign there and then. What you want to do is go to wherever this bar is, find a bar nearby, sit there for a couple of weeks, a month if you can, at various times of days, different days, and just see for yourself, how busy are they really? Because if this bar's meant to be creaming it in now, making a fortune, and you go there 4 or 5 times, and each time you have 1 or 2 customers, well, you know, You don't need to be a rocket scientist to work that one out, but just do your due diligence before you put any pen to paper. Now, if you're going to be a girly bar, I can tell you now, guys, and I don't care who you are, whether you want to argue with me or not, and the guys that have been here a long time will back me up on this. You need a good mamasan. If you don't have a good mamasan or a good contact to bring you the girls in, you are literally wading around in deep water with lead boots on. You really are. The mamasan can break or make your bar. It's as simple as that. You know, when Bea came to me, when she was leaving the dive bar, I was absolutely petrified in terms of what we agreed financially, etc., etc. However, she is worth her weight in gold, and I pay her much more now than when she first joined me. She's absolutely 100% the bar. So when you come into the Buzzin and you see all the girls, you know, that's down to Bea. So you need a good mamasan. And when you take care of your mamasan, she's worth her weight in gold. She'll never go anywhere else. You know, it's like I know with Bea. I know 2 people. Doesn't matter, but I know 2 people that have offered her a lot more money than I'm paying her. She's not interested because she loves what we do here. She can see the future, and she's an integral part of the bar here. But you need that same person. A mamasan, so when you buy a bar, if the mamasan leaves, so let's just say you're buying a girly bar and you go in, and the mamasan you don't get on, if she leaves, trust me, 95% of those girls will leave with her. Meaning you're now sat there twiddling your thumbs with no girls, and where are you going to get your girls from? Because if you go to the agencies, you're going to be paying a lot more money, and it's going to put you under more financial pressure. So you're left with an empty bar, no staff. Well, obviously, if it's an empty bar, no staff, you're going to get no customers. So build a relationship with the existing staff before you take over. Ensure you've got a backup plan for recruitment. So if you are going to buy this bar, go in. Don't tell the man I'm going to buy it. Just be a customer. Hey, how you doing? Can I buy you a drink? Can I buy you another drink? Oh, how long you been there? Oh, what's it like? Where are you from? All those kind of things. Get yourself in situ, guys, so you've got a backup plan. Should or if you walk in and the mamasan leaves, you've got somewhere else to go where you can say, can you help me out, please? Legal stuff. So operating a bar, you require multiple licenses, you know, alcohol, tobacco, music, food. Oh man, I've got licenses just for sitting on this chair. It's insane. However, the licenses are often tied to the previous owner or a specific tie-entity. In other words, a specific person in that bar that you're going to buy, all the licenses will be down to that one person. So if you don't transfer them correctly, you're operating illegally, and then you're open to heavy fines or possible closure. So again, I suggest you contact Peter at Thailand Legal Protection and go and speak to him. And he is very, very good. They're 24 hours, 7 days a week as legal company, and they will help you out with all your licenses. So go and speak to Peter. Use a reputable lawyer. But if you don't want to do Peter, you know, use a reputable Thai lawyer. Never do the DIY route. The DIY route, if you get it wrong, you're in hot water. It's as simple as that. The police and local rules. So we've got unwritten rules here regarding closing times and noise levels and contributions to the local authority, etc. So as a first timer, you might try to follow the literal law, i.e. you've got to shut at 1. But when you close at 1 here, and then you walk down the road and there's still bars open at 4 a.m, you think, well, hang on, how does that work? Because my license is still 1. Why is theirs differently? You know, staying open late without permission, you know, if you haven't got the right people on your side, you could lead to a raid. And if you get raided, that puts you on the radar. Once you're on the radar for good, and then you're just going to be an easy picking until you take actions that need to help you alleviate that problem and get yourself on the radar where you can stay open as long as you want. Talk to the neighbouring bar owners. You know, go and understand the ecosystem here. What is expected of you to keep things running smoothly? Who do you need to know? Who do you need to speak to? And what's their role? What's their outcome? So, you know, be very, very aware of that. You've got to make sure all the T's are crossed, all the I's are dotted. You know, if you come into the Buzzin Lounge, you go into our reception, all my licenses are all up on the wall in public display, so everyone can see exactly what's there. They're nailed down to the T. So, you know, you make sure you get it right, guys. Drinking your own profits. Hello. You know, the problem is that when you become the owner, you can also become the best customer. You're often giving away freebies to friends, and you drink heavily every night. We're leading to a lack of, you know, sleep, oversight. You're missing things. You're not really forcing yourself onto the business in the right manner. You know, I'm guilty of that. I am a generous person, and I've got a very good, close group of friends. You know, when they come in, I buy them drinks, etc., because they are my close friends. I'll often give away, you know, I give away free shots, we have promotions, etc. But at the end of the day, I'm in a different situation here, because I never opened the bar to make money. I opened the bar for the community. Like I said, you know, I retired at 42. I'm doing this because I just wanted to see where this journey can go. And thankfully, it's been a good journey, and long may it continue. But if you're on your own in the bar and you're giving away your profits because you've not got any customers, you might have 1 or 2 people come in, you know, you want to try and hold on to what you can. You know, if your bar's good, the entertainment, the vibe's good, people will come back anyway. So treat it like a business, not a hobby. You know, keep your personal life and your bar life strictly separate away from each other. Staff. You know, staff here, there's nothing more frustrating, in my opinion, than working with Thai people. I love them to bits. 100% I love them to bits. They are brilliant. However, they have a different concept of work than what you and I do around the world. They wake up, oh, don't feel like it today, won't come in. You know, I've got, like Indy, I love Indy to bits, and I'm not going to speak badly of Indy, but Indy lives upstairs and she's got the worst attendance record out of all of our girls. Because some days she wakes up and she's like, I'm not coming in, boss. It's like, okay, sweetheart. There's no point getting angry. There's no point being frustrated, because at the end of the day, it's just the way it is. It's a Thai way or no way. So, you know, you've got to deal with constant requests for advances on wages for like family emergencies, you know, the sick buffalo, mum and dads are in hospital. So you've got to be aware of that. And if you say no, sometimes the girls think, well, if you can't help me, boss, I'll find someone else who can, they'll leave. And if you say yes, then they might leave anyway. So once the money's out the door, it's out the door. So, you know, just be aware of those kind of situations. You know, set firm rules, guys. Put your salary advance on, say, all right, this is the maximum I allow you to earn. So if you've worked 6 days, I'll advance you 20% or 30% of your salary. You know, all these kind of things. Be fair, but be firm. You know, don't become the bank. It's not a good idea. So, you know, hopefully that's a bit of an eye-opener for you, giving you some things to think about. Drop your comments down below, guys. I really want to hear what you think, what your thoughts are. You know, if you were to open a bar, here's a question. If you're going to open a bar, what would you open? Why would you do it? And where would you put it? And what makes you special? What makes you different? You know, Pattaya, it really is a sink or swim environment. There's no ifs or buts about it. It really is, you either survive or you don't. And I want everyone out there to survive, because that's what makes this city so amazing and just brilliant. So, you know, I wish you all that. And if you are, all jokes aside, if you are seriously considering opening a bar and you want some help and advice, come and speak to me, guys. I'm not a guru, I'm not a business expert, but I have been here a few years. I've been doing the bar scene now for 5 years. So if you are somebody that's looking at that and you want some advice, I'll happily share what information I can to help you. You know, I've got some good friends here that I've helped out with different situations that they've been put into. So I've done my bit for them. I'll happily do that for you guys. Let me know. But remember, you know, don't jump in on the first month. Come here for 6 months. Again, get used to living here rather than holidaying here. Do your due diligence. Go and visit the bar you're considering away from the bar, but see it from the outside. Watch what goes on. You know, don't take the seller's word for everything. You know, make sure you do your own homework, your own research, you know, and just, you know, keep yourself on a level head, guys. Keep yourself where you need to be. All right, there we are. That's it. Ping me an email if you need any information, guys, and we'll go from there. All right, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. As always, please remember to hit the subscribe button and also the bell icon if you'd like to be notified when I bring out a new video. Have a look in TikTok. TikTok's our day-to-day update on what's going on right here, right now in the city, as well as Discord. Discord, we've got 24,000 members in there. It's totally free of charge. A great way of figuring out what's going on and having a look around. Don't forget our mobile app. Our mobile app is going from strength to strength. Thank you so much to everybody. It's available on iOS and Android. Download it, guys. Have a look. It's an up-to-date packed full of information where all the bars, all the restaurants, the hotels, places to be, all there. Have a look at that, guys. And if you haven't, jump into kick.com/. It's a live streaming platform. However, if you missed the video that we live streamed, don't worry. You can always watch the video back. It's held there for 30 days. So you've got plenty of time to go there. Give us a follow on there, guys. We're out and about. We're doing a lot of different stuff on Kick now. It's great. Really going well. We're doing festivals. We're doing music concerts here. We're doing bars and stuff. We're doing that really, really good time. So have a look at that, guys. All right, there we are. That's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, guys. And please, as always, wherever you're in the world, stay safe.